Hello, and welcome to the Modern Romantic Podcast, where we celebrate and inspire romanticism through passionate people who do incredible things. Hi, I'm trying to be a little bit more open to the plot points that the world wants to send me. Hi, I'm Trey. And constantly creating the next exciting adventure in her life is my co host, Emily. Hi, Emily.
Hello. Thank you for that. That was so nice.
You're welcome. I'm going 2 for 2 on the niceness and not the crazy puns that I normally do.
The puns, the corny, the unexpected.
Cheesy, unexpected, roll your eyes of dad jokes sorts of things.
I think we're here for both.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
How have you
okay.
been?
Pretty good. We took a break for Easter, and it's kind of I don't know. It felt like too long. It was only 2 weeks, but it feels like too long.
Very much so. Did you do anything exciting?
It was the only. Did it? No. The short answer is no, but it is exciting to me. And that is, I was moving a lot of my little seedlings out into the gazebo where I have more space and lighting, and um, yeah, I have a whole setup out there now, which is great. And I have a tomato plant that's like however tall that is, 9 inches maybe.
Oh my gosh. Is
Very
it the same
exciting.
one you started when you were here in the Carolinas?
Well, it's not physically the same plant.
Well, okay, yes, but like seedlings from that plant?
You know what? No, I don't grow that kind anymore.
Okay.
So the kind I grew when I was up there was the Russian Krim, Kram tomato, which is kind of a darker, almost purple, super deep red.
Hmm.
And I still like those, but I switched to brandy wine for the flavor. Also, a black brandy wine, so very dark purple, large heirloom, lots of creases and folds, and kind of coolness. And
Ooh.
the flavor though is superior. So, no, it is not, but it is an upgrade.
Ooh, very nice.
Black black brandy wine.
Mm.
That's the one on you want on your burger or your sandwich or whatever.
I'm noting that for other people, I don't like tomatoes on my burger or sandwiches.
Okay. Salad? What do
No.
you like tomato on? Anything?
Um,
Dessert?
Ketchup.
Ketchup.
Yes, tomatoes on my ice cream. What a delicious,
Mm.
so good. I do have to tell you about this movie that I saw, and it has been a journey to try and find it.
Oh
It's
yeah.
called Rock and Rule uh,
Oh,
from 1980s. Never heard of it before, but I got a random video for people talking about obscure animated films that
okay.
still hold up. Animation was good, music was good, but it was a journey to try and find it because the only DVDs in production were on eBay for over $100, and I found a reseller who sold it for like 25 bucks. So I got the
Nice.
collector's edition for 25 bucks. I watched it, and oh my god, it's an absolute fever dream. And remember the dancing elephant slash hippo scene from Dumbo?
Oh yeah, okay.
It's that level of trippy. Um,
Oh.
for parts of the time, and then the rest of it is just very interesting. I do recommend watching it, but understanding that it is a feast for the eyes on multiple fronts is going to help serve you a lot of good as you're watching this movie. Because most of the time I watched it with my eyes wide open, like, what am I watching?
What am I
It's
watching?
it's still so good. The music's great. I was just not expecting that level of detail.
Hmm.
But anyway, other than that, very excited, and then just auditions and stuff coming up. So prepping for that.
Awesome.
Yeah. You know who else I'm excited about?
Our guest.
How dare you? You're reading my notes again. Man, yes.
You had it right there in your notes that you're excited about our guest. That's wonderful. This week we're joined by Lisa Kovala, who's also known as A.L. Jensen. She's an award-winning author, a book coach. She's helping women discover their, and I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, but sisu, sisu, which is strength, courage, and determination. Welcome to the show, Lisa.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. I do want to kick us off and just ask, how is Emmy doing?
Emmy's so good. She needs a haircut. It's a little shaggy right now, but she's so awesome. And we have had so much. So you're talking about seedlings, and I'm like, I'm so jealous because we still have piles and piles of snow. And
Oh,
the other day we went for a walk and the road was clear, and I thought, oh my goodness. So she loved it. But, the snow is still here. I can't even. So
I get
it's
it.
boring.
So sorry.
That is why I start seedlings in February, because it's
Yeah.
we
Smart.
have, I'm in Minnesota, so we don't have snow anymore now, but it could still snow.
It could. There could be a storm. I don't wish that upon you. I hope that it doesn't happen.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So when I'm sorry, Trey, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
When is like safe for you to plant?
Well, this is not a typical year. Normally by now the snow would be gone. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, I thought, oh, it's going. And then we had this super unusual, like they're calling it the like mega storm or something.
Oh,
and
yes.
we had 40 centimeters of snow in like 2 days. All the roads were closed. That's really unusual. I think the last time it happened was 1959.
Oh,
So,
okay.
this isn't typical. I would say probably May long weekend is when we'll, put plants out, when you'll go to the garden center, when you're seeing stuff in the garden. But things, usually you're seeing like something in the garden by now, but it's all covered.
Yeah, I think safe zone here, if you're planting like strawberries or something, it's like the second week of May. Like,
Yeah.
I want to say I
think
got a
we're
shipment
pretty
on
close.
May 5th. Yeah.
Sounds
Something like
about
that.
right. Yeah, I don't think we're that far away from you.
Less than a month maybe then we have left.
Yeah. Yay.
Yeah,
It's
we
going to
can
be
look at it.
fine. And no more snow.
Right. We get a break.
That's it.
Yeah, Josh said we have a chance for snow in the forecast later this week. I reject that outright.
Right?
Miss that.
No, we don't need it.
I used to live in Nebraska, and we would get snow, and it was true both years. We got snow on May 15th, both years that I lived in Nebraska. And I was like, what? Where am I? What?
Pass.
No, that does not make any sense.
No.
So what part of Canada are you in?
So I'm in Northern Ontario. It's a
Okay.
town called Sudbury. So I would say about 4 hours north of Toronto.
Okay.
So I think most folks know where Toronto is. So
Yeah.
it's a little colder, a little farther.
It's beautiful up there, I hear, though.
It is. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Lots of, I think we have probably the most number of interior lakes of any Canadian town,
Oh.
and lots of wooded areas. It's really beautiful. But it is a mining town. So we have that also industrial sections that are quite gritty and, not quite as pleasant.
There's a mix, at least, I suppose.
Yeah,
that
100%.
balances things
And
out.
when I was growing up, it was really the mining had caused so much pollution that there were few trees and the rocks were black. And I just remember playing, on the rocks, and sort of there's some trees. And then the 70s, they started regreening, and that has really had a huge impact on the city. So they've done really good things. But there were a couple years or decades, I would say, there that they used to call it the moon. Like, I think astronauts came to train here because it had a lunar kind of aspect to it.
Oh, wow. They're like filming space movies there.
Right.
Josh said Sudbury. Blueberry Bulldogs fan, anyone?
Yeah, 100% the blue. We had a blueberry fest even.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I love that.
Amazing.
Oh my God.
Wonderful.
What? Blueberry Bulldogs? I'm so sorry. I am a little lost.
There's a hockey show called Shorzy, and the team is the Blueberry Bulldogs. The Sudbury Blueberry Bulldogs.
Yeah.
It's difficult to say.
I have a student that I taught when he was I don't know, grade 12 or something, and he is now one of the characters. I think, like, not a main character, but I'm like, wait a minute, I taught that kid. So it's kind of fun to watch the show and see, some of the background
people.
people.
Who it is?
I don't really remember what his name is. I just remember what he looks like.
Okay.
But he was like a big kind of hockey kind of guy. So I'm like, it makes total sense that he's on that show, but
That's
so
awesome.
strange. It's just so strange that the show has taken off everywhere. Like it's such a sort of a Northern Ontario vibe.
Mm-hmm. We love
The
it
humor
here.
is great. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
it's
fun.
it's definitely got. I don't know. We could talk about that for an hour.
That's right.
There's a level of intelligence to it that I think is, it's not on the surface, but it's like, when you pay attention,
Yeah.
it's kind of a spin-off of the show Letterkenny. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
heard of that.
Yeah,
Trey.
for sure.
Okay. So
Yeah.
anyway, yes, a character or two has
That's right.
come over
Yeah.
from Letterkenny and made this
Yeah.
new show, and it's pretty fun. You don't
Yeah.
have to love hockey to like the show. I'll say
That's
that.
right. Yeah.
Okay.
It's very fun.
You should still love hockey, but that's beside-
Yay,
Anyway.
sports.
Yay,
Yay,
sports ball. And that concludes our sports podcast for tonight. Thanks for
That's
joining
right.
us.
Awesome.
So, Lisa, I'm very curious, especially for our audience to hear, what was your journey getting into becoming an author?
Okay, well, I started writing as a young kid, as a lot of writers do, and writing short stories and all the things. And I studied English at university, and then became a teacher and taught English and creative writing and did all those things. But always had stories in the back of my mind. But what really happened was, I was 40. My mom called me up and said, "Listen, somebody wants to write your dad's story." And I told them my daughter's going to do that. so I told my mom, like, I think when I was 15, that I was going to write my dad's story. And so that was it. I was 40, I had little kids, I was still working. And I had to learn to actually write. And my dad was a Finnish merchant marine. His ship was arrested in Poland, and he was sent to a concentration camp, 16 years old. So at 84, he told me his story. And that was sort of the beginning of the journey into writing, because I was in it. Like, I had to tell the story. I was going to tell it the best way I could. I had to learn the techniques and all of, I thought I knew because I was an English teacher and studied literature, but there's a whole other thing when you have to write it yourself. So, that whole process with my dad was incredible. And he was like, it was an amazing journey for him to tell me everything that happened and read every version I wrote and kind of rubber stamp everything that, I was telling it as accurately as we could.
Wow.
Okay.
There's I'm sure you wanted to do that justice, and the burden of that sat with you.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you had him to be able to read over it and to make sure that it was accurate and correct. I think
that was the worry, that because at 84, if we didn't get this down, I wasn't able to tell my kids what happened. I wasn't able to explain it to anybody else. I only knew little snippets. So that was really important to just do that work with him. And so important for him too, because of how difficult, like, a lot of people don't talk about those experiences because they're so difficult. And it was difficult for him, but talking about it made him be able to talk about it. You know what I mean? Telling me the story, and then we'd go to some kind of a book signing or something, and he'd sit with me and he'd sign books and he would tell people stories about what happened. And I'm like, wait a minute, you couldn't tell me for months. And now you're like just talking to strangers. But he had released the story, right? Somehow it was so important for him to do that.
Yeah.
It was kind of incredible. So I came to writing in a kind of an unconventional way, I guess. Like, I was always writing and always wanting to write. But then when I'm told, oh, you're going to do this, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I'm so grateful to him for that.
That's amazing. And it's interesting, because I was thinking about this over the weekend at some point about what art comes out of difficult times.
Yeah.
And even like years later, maybe that art comes out in a form of a book about those times. And maybe there's someone who can paint it, and maybe there's someone who can express it another way in dance or theater or whatever that looks like. But the art that happens during the difficult time, we don't always get to see. We don't always know about it or hear about it. We're just in it. And what do we do with ourselves when we're not focusing on the horrors?
Yeah.
And I 100%. Thought about, like, where is that? Why do we have that? Maybe it's just me. Am I
No.
the only one with that disconnect?
No, I think that's completely accurate. And what it reminds me, because I have some little tiny pieces of paper. They're all very yellowed now in my dad's handwriting. And he wrote every member of, there were 4 Finnish ships actually, and he wrote all their names down. So that was important that he had wrote their names down and the ship
Yeah.
they were on, documenting it, right? And then there's another one where he has a drawing with Finnish flags and a little, like a little barracks, I guess, and all these little drawings. And so there was a need to create something out of this. And apparently there's all kinds of artists and musicians who in those places were creating art. There was a little orchestra of people who got together and played music. Like, we don't think about that side of things, but there's a human need to create art, I think, even in the most terrible times.
Especially then. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something that's kind of how I was thinking about it this weekend. Like, I feel that need, and I see how, like, at times when we don't always feel the motivation to create art, and sometimes that's when we probably need it the most too.
That's when you probably need it the most. And I think that's when, like, other people need it too, right? They need what we are creating because they're also going through whatever they're going through, and it's heavy and it's hard. And so, I think it would be easy for us to say, well, I don't want to write that or draw that or create that dance because it's, reflecting maybe some lightness, whereas what's happening in the world is sort of heavy and dark. But that's exactly why we need it, right? Because we need that little bit of a reprieve. There's something to do with that. That's processing the darkness too. Like, you need to write those memoirs and you need to write those historical novels that deal with really difficult things. But then you need the lighter pieces too that just give us, a little breath of fresh air.
I think it's awesome too that your dad was able to come with you to, like, sign books and things like that too. Did he find that delightful to a degree, like that he could be part
I think
of it?
so. Because there were so many years that he didn't really talk about it. And if he tried to, sometimes he felt shut down. And he'd only share with certain people little bits. So I think once the book was out there, it was like permission almost, like, oh, it's okay. And then when he would just chat with people and I think he kind of understood, like, how significant the events were and how unusual. Not that it was unusual because there were millions of people, but that he was still there and able to talk about it because he was such a young man when it happened. A lot of, like, we went to the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. They had a 20th anniversary event. And so he was invited as a guest. And it was incredible because there were so few people because they had all aged and they were gone, right? The veterans, there were very few veterans left. Most of the people were quite young when they were involved in the war. So it was, like, kind of life-changing to see all of that. And I think for him to be, like, almost like acknowledge that this happened, because there was a time when you just didn't talk about it. No one talked about anything. And you didn't want to open up anyone else's wounds. And I get that.
Yeah. I watched, I don't know if you've seen it. I watched Nuremberg over the weekend as well.
Oh, yes.
And that was, there were things in it that I didn't know. Yeah. And I haven't looked at, like, how exactly true the whole thing is. But I really did enjoy it. It was really fascinating. Yeah. I would recommend it to anybody listening, but kind of a peek into the aftermath of those times and how things kind of went down. It was an interesting peek at that.
Yeah. Amazing.
You good, Trey? Oh, sorry.
Do what?
No, go ahead.
Well,
do what? You turn jumping jacks.
Deep thought.
Can I do them seated?
Just out of the blue.
Yeah.
Could you give us up some push-ups, please?
No.
I wouldn't do that to you.
How dare?
How dare?
Amazing.
So your writing journey as, like, as an author started with that first book, and then you evolved and you started writing some mystery. You started writing some other pieces, and I'm curious, as those additional stories started developing, how did they start? Did it start with the atmosphere? Did it start with a character? Did it start with like you wanted to see a plot, like a plot section go on? Like how did it start for you?
Yeah, it's really different with every book that I write. So with Sisters Winter War, which is historical fiction, it was really about the time period. So the Winter War between Finland and Russia. And then I pictured, like, I was really curious about what the women in my family would have experienced during the war while the men were fighting and all kinds of other things. And so I learned about the women who were called Lothosfards, which were, that paramilitary women's auxiliary units, and often nurses assistants and that kind of thing. So it kind of started with like, okay, who's this girl and what's she doing during the war and what happens to her in these really terrible circumstances. So it kind of started with history, and it kind of, that those elements I was curious about, and then these women and what they would be doing. And then the story sprouted from there. So that's how that one happened. But for the, second historical novel, that one's a mystery, and that's set in the 1930s during the Depression. And I had two Finnish immigrant girls move out of their farming community into the big mining town of Sudbury in the 30s, which is really not very big. And one sister's body is found in Nolan Creek, and the other one decides, I need to find out what happened to her because she doesn't believe what the police are saying, which is that she crossed unsafe ice, and she doesn't believe that to be true. So this came out of wanting to write a mystery and thinking, well, but I love the historical fiction. That's what I'm in, like, that's what I'd been writing. I love learning about the Finnish experience in Canada and immigration, all those things. So I kind of melded all the things I love and put them into this book. And I actually came across a great resource. There's a university professor. She's gone now, but her name is Valpo Lindstrom. And she was writing about women, Finnish immigrant women, and what they were doing, like, over many, many decades, like what kind of jobs they had. So things like, domestic workers. Yeah, okay, sure. And then I came across the sections that were like, well, some of them were bootleggers. I thought, oh, that's interesting. And some of them, ran brothels. Okay, well, that's interesting. So it just gets your ideas flowing, and you think, well, what unusual circumstances can we create here? But the cozy mysteries are a completely different thing, because I was like, I just need light and fun and sweet and low stakes. And yes, there's a body, but it's not like, dark, and it doesn't bring you down. Like, I think that's what I needed. So I actually have two other historical novels on my laptop waiting for me to, get to the end stage with them. One's done, quote unquote, and the other one needs some work. But I just had to pivot for a while because these cozy mysteries were like demanding my attention, and it's so delightful to write them. So it's just, I just think I needed it. Hopefully other people need it too, because
I would say,
there's like, I love the historical, I do, and I will come back to it. But I think we all need something at different stages in our writing, and to explore something new. And that's what happened. It just came to me, downloaded so quickly. The place, the people, the incidents, and actually the really big driver was I saw an amazing house in Niagara-on-the-Lake, and it was for sale. And I thought, oh my gosh, I would love to buy that house. But it was a historical property, and it had, it was on the ghost tour. So people actually go by it because there's a resident ghost that appears in my book, of course. And because it was for sale, all of the plans and the photographs were online. So I could go in and look at every room. And that was so cool, because normally you can see the exterior and go, oh, that's a nice house. But this one, I'm peeking in every room and the banister and where the breakfast nook is located. Yeah, it was so fun. I'm like, oh, this is the house. So when I was writing this book, I think it really did start with the house, and then everything else just downloaded.
What a cool tech resource that
yeah, right.
we previously have before.
I
didn't
know.
even think of
We'd
that.
have to go get the paper. What are the drawings, the architect drawings, if you wanted to do that.
Like if only the who is it, the Cecil family would sell the Biltmore, then we could
God.
Right?
then we could see all of the rooms.
Amazing. Wouldn't that be amazing?
It would. It would.
Love
The
it.
other option would be to somehow get a job there, I suppose.
True.
But then Zillow.
Oh,
Wait, do they have Zillow up there? I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Zillow? Okay. All right,
Yeah.
good. I was like, oh, let me throw out a reference you might not know. Sorry. Can you imagine Zillowing the Biltmore?
oh my God.
Or like the White
Hi.
House or something?
Would you like to buy this $300 billion estate?
Right.
Yes, I would.
Yes, I would, actually.
I'd like to tour it first, please. Oh, it's not for me.
Right. I just need the walkthrough. Can we do an open house?
Yes, that's right.
I don't even need a private tour.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I actually do need a private tour for me and my million closest friends who are all going to go in on this property together.
Right. It just needs to be like for a weekend.
Yeah.
It's not just a one-day thing.
Amazing.
When you are writing historical fiction and then you switch gears to cozy mystery and then you switch gears to memoir and you're switching back and forth, do you ever find your writing voice changing between each of these?
Ooh.
Or do you feel like it's pretty consistent?
I think it's pretty consistent because, I think that's a better question for somebody else, but I have actually been told that when somebody was reading a piece of mine and my name wasn't on it, she goes, I knew immediately it was you. Is that good or bad? But I think I have a very consistent voice, but because it's really different genres and very different themes and, different characters, like I think that's what shifts, like the atmosphere and the tone shift, because the coasters are so light and I think they move more quickly. The literary fiction tends to be a little bit more about character driven and a little bit, more interiority, I guess, and less about action. So it's more those kinds of shifts that happen. But I think voice tends to stay more stable. Yeah, that's a great question. Now I'm going to be looking at my work and going, is this? Not sure. Is this a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know if it matters. I mean, we all change with time and learn new words and drop old ones. And I feel like
100%. And I think that like every book you're learning something new and you go back and look at stuff you've written before. And I think, oh, I would do this now. But like it represents where you were at that moment.
Sure.
And now you're in another place. So there's something about that too. And I'm really, really proud of the book I wrote with my dad. I think it would be a different book if I wrote it today, like 10 years later. But it's still his story and it's still representing where I was in that writing space at the time. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess that could apply to any art too.
True.
The paintings you might paint when you're learning, or learning maybe not, because I don't know. I guess maybe what I'm trying to say is we're always learning. Yeah. And we're always growing. So the paintings you make early on are not going to be like the paintings you make later. Yeah. And for good reason. So why wouldn't you also grow with what you write?
I agree. And I went to see at a museum in Toronto, a Pablo Picasso exhibition.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
And when you watch what he did initially, and then you get to what we really recognize as his work, like it's night and day. Like, is this the same artist? Are you sure? But it's that growth and that experimentation and the changes, and like he was so capable. But then you saw that experimentation, and what we love and know about him is so uniquely his own work. So I don't think that comes necessarily when you're a new artist. I think that comes with experience and exploration and experimentation.
Well said.
Do you feel that way, Trey? Like with singing or with acting?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think some people find like their voice or find their niche very early on in their career, and then it just grows kind of with time. And then I think it takes some people, and I would put myself in this category, a lot longer. It probably not until I hit my mid 30s that I really started to get some of the things that I learned back when I was in college. Some of the things that my voice instructors would say, or some things that I would pick up during acting classes. Oh yeah, they really hit, and I'd be on auditions, and I go, "Oh, expletive. That's what they meant." Okay,
Ah, yeah, 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 yeah. Makes
so
sense.
very much so. Yes.
So rewinding a little bit, Lisa, do
Mhm.
you like you went from writing this book with your dad
Yeah,
to like what was the thought like what could I do now? Or like what
yeah,
made you go more like, oh, I did this book. I did it. It's done.
yeah.
What was that next step? What did that look
Yeah.
like?
Well, so there it kind of both things. So one was because I'd always wanted to write, this was like, okay, I'm doing this.
Mhm.
And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to take it seriously. So I took a continuing studies certificate, like it was called a creative writing certificate at University of Toronto. And so I was able to work full time and be with the kids and do the things, but I was doing these courses and learning craft and studying under really amazing writers and authors from Canada. And so in one of those courses, we were asked to write, it was a fiction course, and I was writing, nonfiction. And my first love is fiction anyway, but
Mhm.
like, what am I going to write about? And I'm deep into this book with my dad and all the research I've done for this book. And now I have to write like something fictional. Like, what am I going to do? And I realized, okay, I've just done all this research on the Winter War. I'm fascinated by it. I want to know more about that. And then, like I said, about the Lotus Farts. So I started like, I can create this fictional story based on the research I've done for my dad's book anyway, and start this. So this course got me working on this historical piece, just like initially as a short story, but then eventually I just kept using it in every fiction course that I had to take. I'm like, yeah, I've got something to work on. So I kept working on it. And then when I finished the certificate. I'm like, okay, this is a book. And at first it was just like the 1939 section, 1939, 1940 section. And then I realized after I had completed that whole part that this woman wasn't leaving me alone. I could keep picturing her as an older woman in Northern Ontario, having immigrated to Canada, getting early onset Alzheimer's. And like the story I'm like, okay, well, now it's a dual timeline. And then I was at a writing camp with Gail Anderson Durgatz, and she said, Lisa, you don't have dual timeline. This is 100% like 3 timelines. You need to braid it together. And then we started to have this conversation. So all of a sudden, I like sort of as a first novel, I'm doing, 3 timelines, braiding all this stuff. And it was such a great experience. And I ended up working with her for quite a long time on that manuscript. So it's sort of like my dad inspired all these things, because it was like, if I hadn't been doing his book, then I wouldn't maybe have done the courses. And it just, that research was pulling into the next thing. So, I don't know how clearly I thought about writing this next book. I was like, I just need a story for this class. And then, I'll keep writing it. Right. And then I realized, okay, I've got a book here. There's definitely a book here.
That's awesome.
When you were going through those classes, I'm curious if there was ever a time that they talked to you about like storytelling, quote unquote, rules.
Mm.
And were there any rules that you've broken in your novels?
Yeah. Interestingly, I don't know that anyone spoke about rules, because it was more like there's guidelines for sure. There's things where you're like, okay, this isn't maybe going to hit, and the show don't tell. I mean, it's people sometimes call it a rule, but it's not really a rule. It's like good storytelling. So I don't feel like anyone ever said it must be this way. But I don't feel like I really broke any of those rules. But I do think that the one thing that helped me when I was there being a teacher, being a mom, having a lot of activities on the go, doing this writing, I had that sense of like, I'm not a real writer because I don't write every day. You know, that rule.
Oh,
And
you're
I was like,
imposter or something.
right. And I went to this session and there was a poet there and there was a panel and she was a poet and she was a high school teacher, which I was a high school teacher as well. And she said, look, you know, people will tell you have to write every day. She said, you don't have to write every day. You write when you can. Like she had the same experience. She was a high school teacher. She had kids and she wrote when she could write. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness. Like it just felt like, okay, it's fine. Other people also experience this. Like I've never been a person that could do it every day. I have to fit it in weird chunks all over the place. And even though I work from home now and I'm a writer and a book coach, I'm still doing that. I'm still fitting it in where I can. So that might be the only rule, quote unquote, you know, that I just can't follow, and it's okay.
I think so too. I mean, that's just something that like you're breaking it to get it done. I don't think that that's
100%.
not like a rule of how stories should go or how.
Yeah. And every time I still find like an article where somebody says, you know, schedule your time and make sure you write it, and nothing else can interfere with that time. And it must be this, you know, 9 a.m. or like 6 in the morning for 2 hours. Like, I'm sorry, that is not happening. Like, it's just not happening. So I feel like people need to figure out their own schedules and what works for them. Like, it's just, there's no, like, I don't have like, maybe, I don't know, in the early 1900s or, you know, a servant who's going to take care of all the things for me while I write. Like, that's not happening. And bring me my tea. You know, that's not happening.
Right. in the manor home.
That's right.
Right. That you bought from.
Yes. And somebody else is taking care of the children, the nanny and the what, you know,
right.
That's not reality.
See, this is why we need to move into the Biltmore mansion. We can hire these people, and then with you and your like million closest friends, we can make those dreams happen.
Yeah, I love this idea so much. This is a great book idea, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought like having a story. I'm sure it's been done before, where you have a story with someone who just went, I inherited what?
Yes.
The what?
Right. I'm sure it has been. I'm sure it's been done many times, but there's going to be a twist every time. It's always going to be different characters. So it can be a similar, but also be very different. So you can steal that idea 100%. Run with it.
One day when I'm a writer.
That's right.
One thing I am kind of curious about, as many times as we've talked to other artists, we talk about this idea of finding a balance between like going through creative struggles and then finding the what is the word I'm searching for, but finding like a really great moment on the opposite side of that struggle. Do you feel that we romanticize the idea of the struggle? And to you, what's the difference between like a hardship and then burnout?
Oh, that's so good. Great question. So I think there is, yes, that's right. Write this one down.
Yeah, we can ask this of many people.
That's right. I feel like there's this idea of artists needing to have extreme struggle in order to create art. Like there's this trope, right? Like that they're tortured artists or starving artists, or they're, you know, I don't know, famously lots of folks with addictions and various things happening. And I just don't think that you need to have gone through really terrible things to create art. I think we are all born with creativity. I think some people may foster it more than others and maybe have more inclination, or maybe their environment fosters it, or they find it later in life for whatever reason. But I do also have this maybe contrary idea that we notice all of those wonderful, amazing things that happen in our life, and we see the creativity and the beauty only because we have the darkness, right? Like you can't kind of have one without the other. They have to work in tandem. So I don't think an artist needs to be a tortured artist, but you should be able to observe the world as it is and see all the beauty of it and all the negative aspects, and they will highlight each other and juxtapose against each other. So there's something there, but no, you can be a happy person and make amazing art.
Right, like some lessons don't have to be learned the hard way either. You can learn by watching someone else go through it. You can learn it from
100%.
reading about it.
Yeah.
So I think that's same with what you said.
Yeah, I do think like our imaginations are so incredible, and so many folks are very, very empathetic that they don't have to go through it themselves to feel it, to understand it like intuitively, to understand it emotionally. So, you know, I'm sure there are people that are like, no, that's not me, right? But there are lots of folks, and I think a lot of artists fall under that category where they can observe that. Like, I mean, Trey, you can talk about like actors, they can not have to have experience what the character is going through, but they can enter into what that feels like and portray that, right? And it doesn't mean they themselves have had to go through that. So I think that we are capable of understanding other people and capable of understanding the frustration and the darkness and all of the things that, you know, humans go through without having experienced it ourselves. So, but that takes some practice too. I think you have to observe and pay attention and be empathetic and, you know, have conversations and not just be like cloistered in your own room and watching video games or something. Like you're maybe not going to learn that much about the world that way.
And I think something that you said there, which was have the conversations, and in that it's not just being ready with a response, it's being ready to engage in a full conversation with somebody.
Yeah. And I think the key there too is just listening. And we don't want to do that much, right? When you think about the everyday conversations we have, they tend to be like fairly transactional, or we want to give our advice immediately and not really stopping to listen to what the person needs to say and how they're feeling and just giving them that space. We tend to want to fill the silence. So I think that the conversation is huge, but the listening part, we all need to, you know, spend a little bit more time thinking about, okay, what are they saying to me actually? What does that actually mean? And responding in kind.
I think that's the one thing. I give lots of flowers to Emily when it comes to being a really effective manager, but I think you were one of the first people to really emulate what that looked like, because there would be things that would happen in the old tuck store that we worked in, and you would say, all right, pause, let's back up, let's talk this through, let's like really think about it for just a second, or let's think about this in a different way. There would always be some sort of strategy to finding an effective way for us to work together, because you had like 5 people working in a store with all very different personalities.
That part is yeah.
But
I mean, everything you've said is true so far. This is interesting.
But we would sit down and have these conversations to find an effective way to work together.
Yeah.
Because we were forcing ourselves to listen to one another, and at the end of the day, we were all hilarious, and it was finding those commonalities within that to be like, okay, I can look past the day that you threw a tux at me. I can look up past the time that you. No one actually ever did throw a tux.
I was like, did I do that?
No,
it's possible.
No, not you. Anyway, the point being is that I really have to give you your flowers. You did this starting back in like 2013, so thank you for being a good example of that.
That's when we met. Thank you. Every now and then you tell some story from like the past, and I'll be like, oh my gosh. Like just hearing it through your lens is fascinating, but also like I don't necessarily see it the same way, but I don't know. So I'm always like blown away by how you saw it because sometimes I was just trying to get through the day. Sometimes I was just like, we just need to get this customer out of the store. Like we just need to get through this day. Yeah, so like that's amazing. Thank you for telling it that way. That's so cool. That's so nice.
It's the truth. It's the truth. Lisa, one thing I also want to talk about and make sure our audience knows is that you are also a coach for like book writing, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
What's something you've noticed with other writers that they think is a problem but really isn't?
Yeah, that's a good question.
We're on fire tonight.
Yeah,
My
these are
gosh.
so good. Trey points all along. One of the things that writers struggle with is if their writing is quote unquote good enough, right? Like there's this worry that, you know, I'm not a real writer, and I don't know how to do this. And what they don't understand is no one knows how to do this. We just learn how to do this. And we work on how to do this, and we create a way to do this, and we create a story that's uniquely our own. So it's I think folks kind of get stalled out because they have a great idea. They have this like, I have the story idea, and they're very excited, and then they start, and then they realize, oh, I don't know how to do this, and then they back away from the project because I don't know how, right? And the truth is, you just have to push through. You have to Emma mentioned sisu earlier. It's that determination to just keep going, even though you don't know how it's going to end up, even though you don't know if it's going to work out. Just keep plowing forward. And we all know if we're persistent and we keep going, we're going to have something at the end. We will. Like it's going to happen. But if you give up partway through, you know, done, right? So I think a lot of writers, especially when they're new or starting a brand new project and are feeling like it's out of their comfort zone, they're just worried that they have that imposter syndrome and that kind of like, I'm not good enough and I can't do this. And I just feel like so sad about that because those stories need to be told. If you have a great idea, you need to just go for it and get the help you need. Take courses, read books, and keep writing.
Solid advice.
I fall into that category quite a bit. I've been trying to work on some stories on the side to use as like audiobooks or like audio stories for my YouTube channel. And I read them back and I go, no, this isn't it. And I think it speaks to is this my imposter syndrome speaking, or is the product actually not good?
Yeah. And there's a perfectionism too, right? Where we want that to be as perfect as we can make it, but I'm like a recovering perfectionist. I think we have to get to a certain point where it's like, this is as good as I can make it. Now let's have other people read it. So get some beta readers, get other eyes on the page, get some feedback, maybe get a developmental editor, maybe get a book coach. There's lots of avenues, but have other people read it because we get to the point where we can't see it in our own work anymore. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. And then I'll read the same thing later. That's not so good. Like I can't, because it's not good. So I think we do need other people's like voices on these, and they're going to have lots of different diverse ideas about your work. But then you can take all that feedback and decide, like, yeah, actually that resonates, and I think I need to work on this. And I don't like that idea. I'm not going to do that. So you take and leave the advice, but it really can help with moving a project forward. And if you don't think you're good enough and you have other people read your work, all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, they like it. Oh, they love those lines. Oh, they love that character. Like it can also feed that like enthusiasm about your project again.
Just call your personal Lisa Whitney and have her read your, that's one thing that I remember talking. I feel like I talked to her about this. I don't know. Lisa Whitney is an editor, and she has edited some of Neil Gaiman's work.
Amazing.
And like that feels like the most vulnerable thing to do. Like, oh, this is basically, I'm handing you my rough draft. I mean, maybe it's not truly the rough draft. Maybe I've worked it a few times, but like, here, I'm going to give you this like totally unfinished lump of what came out of me. That sounded much more gross than I meant it. Here, I want you to read it. And because I look up to you.
Right.
Like,
right.
That's when I first heard that the authors were doing that, I was like, wait, I can't do that in the art that I do now. How could I do that as a writer?
Yeah. Well, and that is this thing, right? So I would say don't send it to your most favorite editor who's
don't send it to Lisa Kovala.
That's probably not the next step. But I would say like there's a lot of, in the case of writers, at least, there's a lot of writing communities where they share pages. So I right now have a spring group book coaching class happening. I have 5 writers, and every week they all send me work and I give them feedback. But every week we're focusing on one person's work, and everyone in the group has read and commented on that work. And then we have a conversation. So we all know that it's drafts. In some cases, it's a first draft. In some cases, it's 2 or 3 drafts in. And we're all commenting on the stuff we love and the lines that are just resonating. And then we ask a lot of questions, right? Because we're not sure about. And then the writer can get that feedback and they can think about it and move their project forward. Like those pages will become clearer to them because other people have commented on them. So it works really well. So I would say find a really safe person, a safe small group, and just learn to give feedback, because that's a skill in itself, right? Like, you don't want the guy who says it's all terrible. Like, you don't want that. You don't need that for your ego.
No.
Like, you feel devastated.
That's not helpful.
Who knows how to give great feedback, which is respectful of the person and respectful of the writing. And everyone's just trying to move the piece forward. We're not criticizing the writer. We're looking at that piece and saying, well, okay, there's something here and I'm not sure about that. And like, I'm missing something here. And the writer knows everything about their piece. And there's a danger in that because they don't necessarily put what they know on the page. And then the reader is like, right? So just being able to point those things out for the
stuck up in here and not. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, they know. They know. So they kind of skip the point of writing it down, which is a problem. So there's so many ways to get early feedback on a manuscript. And then once you feel like you brought it as far as you can go, then you might put money and get an editor, get somebody who's going to give you really great developmental edit. But yeah, I wouldn't say spend a ton of money on that initially with really drafty pages. You want to work those out as best you can first. Yeah.
So you've given us some amazing advice. I love it. This is all incredible. And I feel like that might even help people overcome some of that imposter syndrome that is so common. That said, is there something about what you do, or what is it about what you do that makes you go, yes, this is why I do this?
Yeah. Because, well, when I'm working with either one-on-one with a writer or in these small group situations, you just see these light bulb moments where they just are like, oh, and I love that so much, that a writer can see their work with greater clarity. Mm-hmm. Like, it's strange, but I would love to get those writers to a point where they don't need me. Like, because I want them to be like, I've had writers tell me, oh, Lisa, when I'm revising, I hear your voice in my head. I hear you saying such and such. And I'm like, that's brilliant, right? You heard me and you're seeing your work and you know what you need to do. Like, that's success to me. Like, that the writer can see their work so clearly in that way. So I just think it's so fun to watch people kind of go through this process and feel energized by it, because it can be very hard. You can have ups and downs. You can feel, quite devastated and quite thrilled and all the in-betweens. But when you see a writer who's like getting it and just their project's getting better and better and better, and they're improving their skills, it's so fun.
So I can't believe we are at almost an hour already.
Wow.
Before we get into like wrapping up, Will you quick tell our audience the titles of your books and where to find them?
Yeah. So the nonfiction was Surviving Stutthof, My Father's Memories Behind the Death Cape. And the first historical was Sisu's Winter War. And the second was Like Water for Weary Souls. That's historical mystery. And then I have the Hookah House Cozy Mystery Series under A.L. Jensen. And that is Hookah and Homicide, Midsummer Marriage, and Murder. And in August, Murder by Nordic Design is coming out. So that's the books that are in the works. And they're kind of anywhere. So just you can order them at your bookstore. If you want it from the library, ask your librarian. They'll get it in. Amazon, of course, Barnes & Noble, bookshop.org. All the places.
And Hookah is spelled Hygge.
That's the one.
So that if anybody listening or watching doesn't know, that's how you can Google it or look it up or ask for it, because
Exactly.
it's possible the librarian won't know how to spell it.
Yes, that's right. That's true.
I do have to say, I love the artwork for your books.
Oh yeah.
But I really especially love the cozy mystery ones, because you get this nice, like, what I would determine to be a very Scandinavian sort of thing, and you get all of this very lovely script, and then murder.
Yes,
Murder.
I love that so much. The designers, they just nailed it. Like I described what I wanted, and they just ran with it.
It's brilliant.
So good. It's so good. Well, Lisa, this last hour with you has been incredible. But I have one final question for you, which has nothing to do with anything we've talked about before.
Yes.
And that is, if you were to sit down to have lunch with anybody in the world, alive or dead, who would that be?
I'm going to say Lucy Maud Montgomery. So if you know Lucy Maud Montgomery, she's the author of Anne of Green Gables. And those books I fell in love with as a kid. I read every single one. I watched every single TV series, and I loved it. And I think that she's just an incredible, incredible writer. And the stories are just resonate.
Yep, I love those too.
Yay.
And I have a last question, Trey.
Oh, okay.
Next week on the podcast. Wow, that's really bright. Next week on the podcast, we have Heidi Suzanne, who is a cupcake designer. She designs cupcakes that are like, they look like real flowers. It's amazing. It doesn't seem like you should be able to eat it. You probably should. Yeah. Anyway, what's a question we should ask Heidi?
What's the question? I would love to know from Heidi how she decides the floral arrangements for these amazing cupcakes. I've seen the images. Okay. They're incredible. And also I want Heidi, please, to make an arrangement with Scandinavian flowers. Oh, would that be so cool? Right?
Oh,
okay. Maybe she already has that. I didn't see it on her site, but maybe she already has that.
I'm going to ask.
Okay.
I'm writing this down. Brilliant question.
I'm trying to type it because my keyboard like clacks so loudly.
I wrote it down in doctor handwriting.
Nice.
I've got it in case you need it. But
okay,
that is a fantastic question. Lisa, thank you so much for spending the last hour with us. I love your perspective, and I feel like we could talk so much more about writing. Would you come back and be on the podcast again?
I would love that. It's been so fun. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you for letting us put you on the spot live on the show and ask you to come back on the show. No pressure. Except everyone's listening. Right.
But as we wrap this episode up, please go support Lisa and all of the things that she is doing. You can find her at lisakovalabookcoach.com. You can also find her on Instagram. One of her Instagrams is A_L_Jensen. The other one is Liisa Kovala. But please go support her and her incredible books. And thank you so much for tuning in today. You can find other episodes for the Modern Romantic Podcast on our website or wherever you get podcasts. We also have a Patreon. Even if you are not able to support, just please help us get the word out about our podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.